Space. It's a weird place with not much of anything. And that's exactly why we call it space. There's not a lot of anything out there, and we might as well call it empty space, because there's nothing in it. Down here on Earth, we have air, and even though we can't see it, we can feel it when we blow on our hands or if there's a breeze. But out in space, you can't feel anything. It is completely empty. Since there's nothing out in space, then it's also extremely cold. Down here on Earth, we have an atmosphere, and the sun heats up the molecules in our atmosphere, and we can feel this warmth on our skin, and that's why we can feel the heat from our planet. But out in space, there's no atmosphere, there's no molecules, and that means that it's cold because there's nothing to touch our skin and heat us up. And that is one of the reasons that you need to wear a spacesuit when you go out into space. You simply need to keep warm. Another problem when you're out in space is the fact that there's no strong gravity. And that means you're actually flying around, or more like floating around. Inside a spaceship, you can't really walk normally. And that means you have to drag yourself around and float through the corridors, for example. And this can give you a lot of problems. For example, when you need to go from one room to another, when you need to sleep, or even when you need to go to the toilet. Distances in space are incredibly long. And that means if we have to measure how far there is from one planet to another, or from one star to another even, we need to come up with some different kind of term than kilometers or miles. This other term is called a light year. So even though it has the name year in it, then it's not a measure of time, but instead it's a measure of distance. And the exact distance that one light year is the distance that light can travel in the span of 1 year. Hence, it's called a light year. If you have watched our video about the sun, then you'll know that light takes 8 minutes to reach Earth from the sun. Now imagine this light not hitting Earth and just continuing out into outer space. The distance that this light can travel in an entire year, not just 8 minutes, that is the distance of 1 light year. If you want to travel from Earth to another planet in a spaceship, then you need to prepare, and you need to prepare a lot. Because not only do you have to factor in the fact that it might take 11 months to get to Mars, but you also have to aim at another place than Mars is right now, because we are all orbiting the sun. So instead of aiming at Mars, you need to aim at where you know Mars will be in 11 months. The last several decades, we've been sending space probes out into space and our solar system to explore other planets, take pictures of them, and do measurements of the planets. Exploring other planets with space probes is extremely interesting for us humans because we can learn so much about our universe and our solar system. But sending a space probe to another planet requires a lot of time. And in fact, it requires so much time that it's taken 12 years to reach Neptune. But that was with an older space probe. We've actually gone all the way out to Pluto, and that only took around 9.5 years. Can you imagine sending a probe into space and then having to wait 10 years for it to reach its destination? It's quite mind-blowing that things are so far apart in our solar system.